Right, hello, good morning, and welcome to the show. This is Good Morning Ghana Live on Metro TV. It's a Wednesday, the 26th day of June, 2024. By His grace, we're live, and we're here with yet another edition of the show. Our gratitude to go to the Most High God for the rare privilege of being alive, and of course, the opportunity of having another conversation around the top stories making rounds here in our dear Republic. I'll let you into our panel for the morning's conversation shortly, but let's take a look at the front pages of our newspapers. Daily Graphic. At Graphic Business through Stanbic breakfast meeting, we need bailouts. Farmers, agri-business purveyors demand of government. We must work towards food self-sufficiency. Graphic MD rallies Ghanaians. Stanbic Bank pledges financing. Stalled projects will resume soon. President Akufo-Addo assures. Wasi malpractice on the rise. Study reveals. The Ghanaian Times. 2024 elections. I'll safeguard Ghana's democracy. President pledges ahead of December 7 polls. 84,263 candidates involved in exam malpractices in the past 3 years. WAEC don't abolish death penalty for all. Intentional murderers do not deserve to live. First Deputy Speaker insists. Daily Post. NDC not committed to free SHS bill. Afenyo marking. Freddie Blay champions medical tourism. Bedietu Asante is ambassador at large. Spartan Eves debunks a Black West baseless claims. Communication Ministry upgrades 25 post offices. The new crusading guide. Afenyo marking dares minority to clarify position on free SHS bill. Work on Nima Paloma drains kickstarts. Hassan Ayariga preaches peace between Kusasis and Mamprusis. NPP UK YEF injects £1.2 million into Baumia campaign. World Vision supports communities to fight malnutrition. UCC Anes Yokobos. The Insight. Akisoya blasts government, says implementation of blanket-free SHS unintelligent. Communication and Digitalization Ministry upgrades 25 post offices, refurbishes 25 others for expanded e-services. The legacy of Zachmus, how a father's determination shaped his daughter's future. WikiLeaks co-founder Julian Assange is free. Concerned last citizens protest alleged land grab sale by private developers. The Herald. Ministers abandon 2.37 million euros ambulances to shop for $34.691 million ambulances. General Legal Counsel hears petition against ex-speaker's daughter's legal qualification. YEA lists 1,452 companies in inaugural BEAP rollout. Mahama campaign team slams Benefsin over false accusations. Senate rejected my 34-year son's $200 million for Brian Champon's $61 million bid, Freddie Blay. I see. The Informer. 2024 elections. CPP missing in action. Baumia campaign boosted with £1.2 million from NPP UK. Fitch thumbs up Ghana, predicts expansion in economy. No illiterate polling agents, Mahama declares. Papavi Corps jailed 9 years. The Inquisitor, Ghana's weak voice, trouble at RMU over decision to honor Sierra Leonean First Lady. Alan unveils ambitious great transformational plan for Ghana's future. Instead of winning souls for Christ, Pentecost scrambles for turf in MPP. Charity Gbedao named as Ghana's ambassador to Morocco. UCC Anes Yokobos. The Daily Statesman. No space for vigilantes. President Akufo-Addo. Nima Paloma drainage project takes off. Baumia's role in 2012 election petition contributed to Africa's democratic growth. BOG refutes claims of withheld $8 billion by MTUs and fintechs. Ochiman Task Force calls for arrest of police informants. The Daily Searchlight. Tax waiver scandal, part 1. Chinese beneficiary company of NPP tax waiver evading millions of cedis at Tema. My GTP will turn graduates into businessmen, Alan Cash. Bank of Ghana denies $8 billion loss due to fintech's transfer operations, but I've reduced the number of fishing trawlers in our waters, Howard Kumsin. The Ghanaian Publisher. Afenyo marking challenges minority over free SHS bill. Work on Nima Paloma drains begin. Professor Kwesi Yanka writes, Poor Mahmood, the sad plight of a happy man. Minerals Commission refutes Boli MP's claim against Lands Minister. The Metro Lens. 33,756 Ghanaian talents flocked to Canada in 2023, Massive surge in brain drain, 63,375 applications in 4 months. Climate change, looming threat to Ghana's agric and food security. Lakeside, Regimano, Sukasa occupying Latria land illegally, Eshiye Manche. Kenya Parliament set ablaze, protesters killed. Dakar Times. Another Blackwater expose. Baumia's kleptocrat advisor exposed for grabbing prison service prime lands. Afenyomakin yells at NDC, are not ready for free SHS bill. PAC's 2023 annual report on oil and gas bemoans decline on existing oil fields. Ochieni councils Napo as it seeks traditional and religious support for national development. Saglemi housing project will use open and transparent process upon Kruma. The custodian. Declare your stance on free SHS bill. Afenyomakin challenges minority. NPP UK, YEF raised 23 million cedis for Bahamian's campaign. Nema Paloma drain reconstruction starts. UCC honors Ioko boss. IPPs to take haircut. The new finder. Bank of Ghana spent 688.8 million cedis to print money. ECD rollout can reduce this cost considerably. NPP UK, YEF raised 1.2 million pounds to support Dr. Bawumia's campaign. Work begins on Nema Paloma drains. Bias credit ratings hurt Ghana's economy, Professor Agboyo. 2024 election, we have to address mistrust in EC, Professor Abuchi. Daily Post, Mahama is squeaky clean. You can't smear him with corruption. Benefsin and 3 other pro-NPP editors told after they syndicated a fake story about the former president on their front pages. Ambulance case, take the witness stand if you're a man. Edwiji Tamaklo dares Attorney General. Economy Times. First phase of petroleum hub project to begin soon as $12 billion funding secured. Almost half of Ghanaians enduring severe poverty. Ghana Statistical Service report. Petroleum revenue plummet 25% amidst declining production. And that's about it for the front pages. We'll be back shortly. Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. With me on the show this morning, I have Kwesi Pratt Jr., the editor of the Insight newspaper. Kwesi, good morning. Also with me on the show this morning is the Honorable Member of Parliament for the Tema Central Constituency, Yves Hansen Norte. Yves, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Right. Now, let me talk to you about that family toothpaste, which is affordable, top quality, and also approved by the Food and Drugs Authority. I'm talking about KEL 360 toothpaste. It provides you and your family with all-round dental protection throughout the day with freshness. KEL 360 toothpaste is good for kids, children, and adults. Let your family be a proud family when they step out by constantly using KEL 360 toothpaste. It brightens your teeth, prevents cavity, and with its cool mint, gives you fresh breath throughout the day and protects the gum from decaying. For consistency and quality, use KEL 360 toothpaste. It's another product from Samara Company Limited, producers of Sasu. It's available in all supermarkets, malls, and provision shops. Call Samara Company on 0246 864 798. KEL 360 toothpaste. Happy smile. And enjoying the fruits of your labor is as important as enjoying the mansions of your labor. The pains of climbing the stairs when not exercising could be challenging irrespective of your age, but worry no more. Lifts and elevators have got you covered with the best portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators on the market today. It's a simple self-supported elevator for both homes and offices, and guess what? It can lift your goods too. Wheelchairs can fit in easily, and they come in 3 custom-made models. It's affordable and can be installed within 3 days. Visit Lifts and Elevators at Sakumono, or just call them on 0200 535-515, 0200-535-515, or send a mail to elevatorsgh@gmail.com for consultations and the best solutions in easy vertical movement. Okay. All right. Let's start off with Kenya. Yep, yes.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
You mentioned my name, so.
Kenya, it appears that I think it's happening in Kenya, but we are caught up in it. We're told that a group of members of parliament were caught in the middle of the chaotic situation in Kenya as protesters continued flooding the streets of Nairobi, the capital city of the country. Now, Ghana Web earlier reported that the Ghanaian MPs who are leaders of a local government committee were visiting the parliament of Kenya when the protests besieged the house. And a video cited by Ghana Web showed the Ghanaian MPs together with their Kenyan counterparts being rushed to safety. And GH1 TV has now identified the Ghanaian parliamentarians who were caught in the crossfire. We're told that we have Emmanuel Akwesi Jemfi, MP for Dotobri, Neil Antivandapoy, MP Odododiodo, Thomas Nyakwampim, MP Asojaman, Sylvester Matthew Tete, MP Botiano English Yamanfro, and Mohamed Hadi Tuferu, MP for Nantong. And unrest has been on for some days now. It reached the doorstep of Kenya's parliament yesterday as hundreds of protesters stormed the parliamentary complex, voicing their discontent over a controversial finance bill that proposes tax increases. Dense clouds of tear gas had reportedly engulfed the parliament as police officers struggled to disperse the crowd. A BBC report said the MPs were engaged in a heated debate over the finance bill before it was passed. It added that hundreds of MPs were trapped inside the parliament building as police continued the efforts to repel the protesters who have breached the complex. Kenyans have been protesting against the finance bill, arguing that it imposes additional financial burdens on citizens already grappling with high cost of living. The government, on the other hand, insists that the tax hikes are necessary to increase revenue without exacerbating the national debt. Initial proposals included a 16% sales tax on bread and a 25% duty on cooking oil. In response to widespread public outcry, the government made some concessions, yet the amended bill, which still contains tax increases, was passed on Tuesday. Okay. We're told that some of the MPs have spoken, and they say that they are safe. Say, by God's grace, we are safe. So that's really the issue. And we've had the President, William Ruto, saying that organized criminals had infiltrated what was meant to be a peaceful protest by Kenyans to foment trouble and has assured the public of measures to curb the situation. We're told that they're adding the military to the police to deal with the issue. And former President Uhuru Kenyatta has also issued a statement. Raila Odinga, who was also a prime minister, has also issued a statement. And it says that, Raila Odinga says that the country is paying a steep price for obstinacy of the government. And Uhuru Kenyatta also says that leaders must know that power and authority they have is donated to them by the people. All right. Ibs, let me start with you.
Good morning, Randy.
Yes.
And good morning to our viewers and listeners as well. Whatever is happening in Kenya is happening in Africa. Mm-hmm. And it's not something that cannot happen in other parts of Africa. If you look at the genesis of this, it's led by very young people. They call them the Gen Z. People who were born between 1991 and 2001. And these are the people that are pushing for their own rights. I mean, these rights are enshrined in the constitutions of Kenya and are just exercising what we all believe in. I mean, Uncle Kwesi Pratt is a veteran when it comes to demonstrations. But the unique nature of this demonstration is that there's no leadership. It didn't come from the political class or the traditional political class and political parties. These are people who have mobilized themselves over the internet, using WhatsApp, Facebook, and have genuine concerns. Because if you look at the finance bill, it's not just got to do with taxes. It's also got to do with taxes on electronic transactions, like we had here, like e-levy. Yes. Most of these young people are saying that, look, we trade over the internet on Instagram, through Facebook, and if you're going to come after that revenue as well, it becomes a problem. But it's a larger problem of the African context. to quote Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, he said that the African is capable of managing his own affairs. But it seems that year after year after year, he's been proven wrong, because it's as if we are not able to manage our own affairs. The issue, whatever is going on in Kenya, something similar went on in Ghana just about 2-3 years ago when we were trying to push e-levy.
Yes.
But our youth did not rise to the extent that you see.
It was just the MPs.
Exactly. That notwithstanding, we have our MPs who got caught up in the problem that is going on in Kenya. I mean, Sylvester, I spoke to him yesterday. He was fine. He was sitting in his hotel room. And we couldn't even speak for long because the internet was very poor. And I think the state security there is trying to manage information that goes out. So even the internet is not working well out of Kenya. However, we know that they are in safe hands, and hopefully they'll come back to join us soon. But I want to quote something from what the former president said, Uhuru. He says the leaders must know that power and authority that they have is donated to them by the people.
Yes.
It's the people that have put you there. The people are saying that they are not prepared to pay more taxes. Well, if that is it, give them what they want. It might mean that the state will go through some difficulties in the future, because what were these taxes for? The taxes that they were asking for was to take care of debts that had been incurred in the past. Obviously, because I sit in as part of the political class, I wouldn't say that taxes are not good. But sometimes the people also want to see the effect of the taxes that they've paid in the past. I listened to some of the youth through BBC.
Yes.
And you can clearly tell that they cannot see they cannot match the level of taxes that they pay to the kind of development that they see within their economy or within their society. And therefore, on the back of that, they were revolting. It's similar to what we find in Ghana. I mean, you see the level of taxes that you pay, and you are driving over on the motorway to Tema, and the whole place is bushy, just the middle. The whole place is bushy.
With manholes.
And you ask yourself, where did the money go? In the last 6 years, we've borrowed $11 billion. But there isn't much to show for that in terms of, real growth that would change the destiny of this country. You look at small countries. I was reading something on South Korea recently, post-war South Korea. They borrowed money from Barclays Bank. But what did they use the money for? Productive activity. We have gone back from, anyway, let's stick to this. It's unfortunate that we find ourselves in this quagmire as Africans, because what is happening in Kenya is similar to what happened during the Arab Spring. It started from Tunisia, it rolled over to Egypt, later Libya, and then others even took advantage of it and destroyed the whole thing. So we also have to manage it carefully so that it doesn't become a domino effect, that after Kenya, it goes to the next place, it goes to another place and might end up here. We also have to, it's a warning and a wake-up call for the political class to sit up and deliver the goods that the people are asking for. Because if we go for election after election after election, and we don't deliver be able to turn the aspirations of our people into reality, obviously, this is what will happen. This is a new generation of Kenyans. 20 years ago, there's a generation of Kenyans that did something similar. If prior to that, about, let's say 40 years ago, there was a generation of Kenyans that did something like that. That was even bloodier.
Yes.
2012, they did something similar, which was even worse. They had to even change the constitution. And this thing is simmering. It's simmering. And it's not just Kenya. Most African countries are going through the same problem. Most African countries are going through the same problem. High rise, high inflation, high cost of living. People are unable to afford basic things. Today I was listening to one radio station on my way here. Somebody was asking whether our breakfast, the cost of our breakfast last year is still the same. It's not the same. Because with the same amount of money, you buy virtually half the same value. So there are genuine concerns in Kenya. And I don't want to limit it to Kenya.
Yeah.
It affects Ghana as well.
Right.
Kenya's situation is no different from what Ghana is facing. And I pray that we'll find solutions that would grow our economies and create jobs for our people so that our youth will be busy doing something else.
Right.
Lastly, yes, even though I support people exercising their rights when it comes to this, I think that sometimes, youthful exuberance pushes people to do more than they should be doing. For example, to the extreme that you go to burn your parliament. That's to the extreme because there were foreign MPs there. Can you just imagine that one of our MPs got injured or was killed or got caught up in some beating, whatever? It will have different implications. The implications will not be limited to just the fact that he was there, but even between our government and the government of Kenya, people would have to answer questions and all that. So sometimes we also have to limit it. Lastly, the use of force. I pray that the police will restrain themselves. Sometimes when leaders call in the police and they want to call in the army and all that, I think it's a show of force. But sometimes I believe that negotiations and judging is always better than war. And if, as quickly as possible, they're able to identify the leaders of these youth groups, talk to them, negotiate with them, get them to counter, let them understand what the implication of this can be. And then on the back of that, take some decisions so that at least we save the state called Kenya and then we nip it in the bud. But there should be a learning curve for all of us.
Obviously, Ives believes that beyond the safety and security of our 5 MPs there are implications for Ghana and the rest of Africa. You believe so?
Oh, sure. But you see, Randy, the irony cannot be lost on us. Here is Kenya. This very government in Kenya sending a police contingent to Haiti in order to restore calm. And the contingent arrived in Port-au-Prince yesterday or 2 days ago. What an irony. And this at the instigation of the U.S. Yes. You understand? The U.S. insists that Kenya should send policemen to Haiti to restore calm. And look at what is happening in Kenya. Randy, as we speak, 7 people are confirmed dead. 7 confirmed dead. The indications that there could be a lot more deaths because many of the people who died, have still not been accounted for. So it could rise. As we speak, evidence shows that at least 50 to 60 people have been seriously injured. Now, this morning, I listened to the president of the Medical Association of Kenya on the British Broadcasting Corporation claiming that the Medical Association actually set up facilities for treating the injured and so on. Those facilities were also attacked by policemen and soldiers. You understand? That sounds quite like Gaza. You understand? It quite sounds like Gaza. You are shooting, killing, and injuring people and denying them access to medical care. I mean, what kind of government, would do that? Now, I've listened to the president of Kenya. He made a broadcast, yesterday. And I feel very sad, that a leader like that has emerged in any part of Africa. He's lost it completely. He's lost it completely. There's no reason why he should continue to be leader of Kenya under any circumstance. Rather than blame his government for attempting to institute these draconian measures at the instance of the International Monetary Fund, he's blaming criminal gangs. The people who are organizing the demonstration have been infiltrated by criminal gangs. He pledges to deal with them, in most drastic manner and to protect the people of Kenya and so on. And this president is living in cuckoo's land. Clearly living in cuckoo's land. He's not on earth.
You know, he also came to power through the same bit, 2010. He led huge demonstrations. Him and his partner, what's his name? Uhuru.
This is one
They
of the
were together.
presidents who actually give Africa such a horrible name. You know, he's lost it completely. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Now, what is happening in Kenya, and I agree with you, is not peculiar to Kenya. It is a phenomena which spreads throughout the so-called third world, not just Africa. We are about to have elections in December, on December 7th, 2024.
Yeah.
And our politicians will come and ask for a mandate, make all kinds of promises, and so on. And we will give them, believing that they will fulfill, you know, the promises that they make. As soon as you have elected them, they ignore you. They go to the World Bank and the IMF. And nothing will prevent them from implementing what the IMF and the World Bank says, even if it means killing the citizens. And so on. You understand? So what has happened in Africa and generally in the third world is that when we have changed governments, what we have actually changed is the representative of the World Bank and the IMF in our country. That's what we changed. They're all the same. It's all the same IMF and World Bank asking for your vote. But they come in different phases.
Oh, it's true.
You understand?
To a large extent.
So you choose one, he will go back to IMF and World Bank and implement the austerity that is imposed on you by the IMF and World Bank. You choose the other, they go back to the IMF and the World Bank and implement the same policy.
Because they fund your campaigns. They fund the opposition, fund your campaign.
So look, why don't we stop this game and elect the IMF and the IMF directly to come and run our countries? Yes, the people we elect simply represent them. You understand? Now, this government, the Kenyan government, is imposing draconian taxes on the people. For what purpose? To make enough money
to meet IMF conditionality.
to pay debts. These debts, which are unpayable, I mean, according to Fidel, these debts are unpayable. We should not be paying the debt. First and foremost, because these debts were not accumulated in the interest of the masses of the African people and third world people. Imagine Zaire under Mobutu. When the Western countries and their institutions were pumping loans to Zaire and so on, they knew that Zaire could not pay. They knew that Zaire could not pay the loans. The only reason for making those loans available to Zaire was that they wanted Zaire to serve their foreign policy interests. They wanted Zaire to become the bastion against so-called communism in Africa. So these loans were meant to pay for their achievement of their own foreign policy objectives. Why should the African people be called upon to pay these loans? You understand? Clear. Now, recently in Ghana, and I think it's important to come to Ghana, some Western ambassadors, including the United States Embassy, have issued statements to the effect that if the homosexuality bill is passed in Parliament, these loans and so on will not come to us.
Yeah.
So these loans are being used as weapons, as tools, in order to get our governments, to pursue certain objectives that the West dictates. So these loans are not meant for development. They are not meant to ensure that we achieve the development goals either set by the UN or the AU and so on. They are meant for us to become client states of the West.
But that's how
And yet, we are the people who suffer to pay the loans. Bread. The Kenyan government was going to tax bread. You understand? Why is Kenya receiving so much assistance from the West and Western institutions and so on? One of the reasons is that because they've agreed to send its policemen to Haiti to go and do the dirty job of Uncle Sam.
They're fighting Al-Shabaab on their behalf.
Exactly. Okay? So these debts should not be paid. It's immoral to pay these debts. And the time has come for us as countries of the so-called third world to unite, to build a forum and to tell them that, look, we are not going to pay for these debts because you impose them on us. in order to achieve your own foreign policy objectives. And at the time that you were making these loans available to us, you knew that we could not pay.
If I could add to what Uncle was saying, you know, you talked about this client state of the West.
Yes.
Doesn't it fall within the idea that these states that we run, or our states, this Ghana, Togo, Benin, are all artificial creations for the West? Because...
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you go back to 1884. How did these states get created in Africa?
Yes, European
Otto von Bismarck,
and his friends sat at the table,
who was Chancellor of Germany at the time, invited his Western counterparts to a meeting in Bonn. They put a map of Africa on the table before them.
And
they took pencils and drew lines across.
I mean, like pizza.
Yeah.
They drew lines across. These lines became boundaries of countries. There was no African at the table in 1884 when Otto von Bismarck invited his counterparts to Bonn to divide up Africa. And you see, Randy, these borders are so senseless, it's unbelievable. Look,
I completely agree.
Master, I've been to Togo, the Ghana-Togo border. I'm sure you've been there. I've walked across.
I was there just a month ago.
Not the main crossing. I've walked across the Ghana-Togo border. And what you see there is shocking. You see one house. The bathroom is in Togo.
Yes.
The kitchen is in Ghana.
If you want to buy land in Lome,
Yes.
the landowners are in Ghana.
Yes.
You go to
So
Lome.
the boundary doesn't make any sense at all. You have Ghanaians living on the Ghana side who wake up every morning and farm in Togo.
And go to school.
And go to school in Togo and so on. So these boundaries doesn't make sense. And it's the same across all of Africa. You go to La Côte d'Ivoire, the border with La Côte d'Ivoire, and you find the Nzima people. The majority of them are in Ghana.
I went by road to Burkina Faso.
Yeah.
You know, from I flew to Tamale
Yeah.
and then by road to Burkina. And
The majority of them are in Ghana. The minority is in La Côte d'Ivoire.
It's
Their
not
paramount chief.
It's in Benin. That's my village. That's my mother's village.
It's really not different from.
You go
You
to
see, when
Fura
you
from the other side.
when you use the beach road.
Yes.
You see the beach road. So there's Sakumono and then there's the Tema. You know, there's this police. It used to be a colonial barrier.
Yes.
Which the barriers are just like that, like something like that.
Yeah.
You just walk across.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or the Ayimensa toll booth.
You know, I think Africa missed an opportunity post-independence, unlike the Asian countries who devolved back into their original states. We, cemented the European created states. And I know there was an OAU
Then.
conference at that time, I think 74, 64, where there was a debate between Nkrumah and Nyerere and co. You know, some were of the view that we should devolve back into our original states.
But they destroyed those states.
Exactly. And then others too were saying, but if you see the Asians, they were able to do that. If you take the likes of, even if you take India, India is a federation along their ethno-linguistic lines, along their traditional old states or original states, but in the federation called India. We have superplanted this European one on our original states. And in fact, if you take Ghana, there's always a conflict between the two. You juxtapose that by 54 states in Africa. And you see that, there's no way forward unless we go back to the drawing board and deal with these issues at the base.
Okay.
Because without that, obviously, this client-state relationship would always be there. They will put you in power. You take power, you put you in power, and you serve the interest of, your boss. That's the problem.
Randy, I've had the privilege of reading a book which will be launched on the 1st of July. It hasn't come out yet. And the author tells me that he gave me the very first copy. Dr. Don Atta has written a history of Ghana, which is going to launch. And Randy, you should read it.
I'd love to do that.
It's shocking. The revelations are so very shocking. You know, when Lord Lugard set up the West African Frontier Force and was actually attacking indigenous states in West Africa and so on, in order to entrench British rule and so on. Go and see the officers under his command, the list of officers under his command. Some of those we hail today as heroes of national liberation were officers under the command of Lord Lugard. You know, that's not just all. It also tells you about the plan that the colonialists had in order to ensure that even after independence, we will not be able to break free.
Exactly.
And Lord Lugard wrote extensively about that. You know, Lord Lugard, actually it was his wife who was a journalist and so on who came up with the whole idea of indirect rule. But Lord Lugard somehow is regarded by some historians as the apostle of indirect rule. And he wrote extensively about these things. And they are captured in Dr. Don Atta's book that I'm reading. I haven't gotten far. I'm not even in the middle. It's a 500-page book.
Whoa.
You know. And I'm compelled to read it because I'm supposed to do the launching of the book.
Oh,
you understand? But it's so
you have just
revealing.
a week. You have just 6 days to finish.
Randy, that's my headache. That's my headache. I'm on page 202 or so. You know, and I have to finish, and I have to do all the things that I have to do. But I will finish reading it. But what I've read so far is shocking and revealing. You understand? And our leaders are sitting around ordering soldiers and policemen to shoot ordinary citizens.
Okay. So I have more news for you.
Yes, sir.
I have more news for you.
Yes, sir.
And like the Americans say, I'm bringing it home. The former finance minister, Setekpe, has questioned the legacy Ghana is leaving following news that Eurobond holders will forgo about $4.7 billion owed them by the government. He explained that to some extent, this debt forgiveness will ease a bit of the stress on the economy and facilitate the release of the subsequent IMF funds. However, Mr. Tekpe said that despite this upside, he had mixed feelings about debt forgiveness, noting, quote, what legacy are we leaving? As a country, HIPIC was total debt forgiveness. Within 2 decades of default, and here we are being forgiven again. Is this a legacy that we want for Ghana? I say this with some regret and confidence in the fact that this was envisaged when we discovered oil. He disclosed that the NDC government had anticipated the possibility of a debt default and the possibility that without certain measures in place, Ghana would continue slipping. As such, the government had put in place measures to prevent, but things have not gone as planned. Quote, so when we discovered oil, there was a 1.5-year debate as to what to do with oil. And we pledged both sides. One, we said never should we allow cocoa and gold prices to go up. Then we're happy. Go down. Then it's all tears. Stabilization fund. We said if the stabilization fund is going high, we could cap it. Use it for 2 purposes. Contingency fund. Then you come to the sinking fund. That's for debt repayment. Because you can't just keep borrowing. We, the NDC government, had used approximately $350 million to take off President Kufuor's first bond. And then we left $250 million, and $200 million was used by the current government to pay off the balance. And we did a debt restructuring backed by the World Bank guaranteed bond, which is now impaired. This comes after the government has reached an agreement in principle with 2 bondholder groups to restructure around $13 billion of its debt. And they give us some details of that. Apparently there are 2. There's a PAR and there's a DISCO. And so you have the option of choosing which one. I'm sure that those technical details will be dealt with. Now, banking consultant Dr. Richmond Etueni has warned the government against completing the external debt restructuring agreement with its official creditors, reviewing whether the deal is a savior for the city. He said the country is treading on a risky path where it will continue to rely on foreign funds, leading to more borrowing in subsequent years. He was contributing to Joy Prime's morning show on Tuesday with Rosalind Feli, following Finance Minister Dr. Amin Adams' announcement. He says, let me make it categorically clear to Ghanaians that the trajectory we are treading on dangerous paths like Argentina and Greece. Yeah. And we don't want to go there because every 4 years we would have to go and restructure the debt because you haven't put in anything that will be able to pay the cash flows. In a related development, Kenneth Kwamina Thompson, CEO of Dalex Finance, warns that Ghanaians should brace themselves for tough economic times over the next decade. Thompson expressed skepticism about the effectiveness of debt forgiveness, suggesting it merely postpones Ghana's economic challenges rather than resolving them. Quote, I have been speaking about the Ghanaian economy since 2014, and I can assure you, as night follows day, that this $300 million from the IMF is merely covering the cracks. Nothing will change. It says, as Ghanaians, we need to start preparing for a rough next 10 years. We talk about savings, but when has the government ever met its revenue targets? And do you think international creditors are so naive that they won't take the money if it's available? Why would they give us a free pass? These are commercial creditors. He remains unconvinced that the situation will improve for Ghanaians. There is nothing that will make me even consider for 1% that anything is going to change. The situation with the local currency is not going to change. All that's going to happen is that soon as the money comes in, the currency will stabilize temporarily. He predicts that after the December elections, the Ghanaian cedi will once again decline sharply against major international currencies. Quote, if we couldn't solve our problems with over $10 billion in 6 years, how are we going to solve them with $3 billion? Let's be real. I've heard economists talk endlessly, and after the fact, they come and explain what happened. I can assure you that's what will happen again. When has the government ever met its revenue targets? That's what you plan on paper, and then there's the reality. He emphasized that Ghanaians should prepare for the worst, as the coming years will be very challenging. Let's acknowledge that the next 10 years will be very rough. The government will have very little money to work with, and we are also cut off from international capital markets. He's advised government to find ways to cut expenditure and increase income.
Yeah, that's very
busy.
You know, when I watch television, listen to radio, and read the newspapers, I'm always shocked.
Why?
Because of what our leaders celebrate.
Okay.
What are they celebrating? You are so indebted, you can't pay your loans, you've reached a state of bankruptcy and so on. Your creditors meet and say, look, we have to get at least some of what we gave you back. And for that matter, we are restructuring the debt, okay? We are giving you a small percentage, you take that for free, and so on. We are changing the rate of interest on some of the debts so that we can get something back. And our leaders surprisingly are celebrating this as a mark of confidence in the Ghanaian economy. Madness! Complete madness. You listen to communicators from your party and they say, this is a mark of confidence in the Ghanaian economy. How is this a mark of confidence in the Ghanaian economy? How? That we agree that you are so broke you can't pay your debts, and it's a mark of confidence in the economy? And they are saying that the economy will rebound. Rebound from where?
Rebound to be able to pay the deferred payments.
But
That's all.
It depends on what you do.
That's all. But even if it will rebound, it will rebound only to the extent that you are able to pay your creditors.
Even the relief.
But even that one, I doubt. Because the trajectory we are on does not lead to resource accumulation.
Thank you.
Even for the purpose of paying debts.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to.
So as for development, forget it. You understand? And our leaders are celebrating this.
The president says that it will pave the way for the resumption of all stalled projects.
As a president, you can forgive him.
Why?
Because this president has been honest with us.
How?
Oh, absolutely honest with us, Grandy. Grandy, this is the president who came and told us that he cannot manage the economy.
When did he say that?
When he was contesting for elections in 2016. The reason why he brought Dr. Bawumia on board,
okay. I now understand you.
was that he needed somebody who could manage the economy.
Okay.
And that he was incapable of that. This is honesty. You understand? This is honesty.
Your sarcasm this morning is...
No, it is not.
On a different level.
The president was so honest with us. He didn't promise us anything. He said, rely on Bawumia and he will deliver.
That's why I brought him.
That's why I brought him, because I cannot manage the economy.
He didn't add that. Those are your words.
No, he did.
He didn't add that.
Randy, have you listened to Nano Hininto, who was General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party at the time Bawumia was presented? He said that's what they were told.
Yes, the president himself said it.
Yes, so they
the
fell
only
for
thing is
it.
that he didn't say what you added. That he can't do it.
At least it's implied.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
At least
yes,
it's implied.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is an honest man. He didn't deceive us at all. He was so
We didn't
honest.
catch the honesty.
But that's your headache. If you didn't catch the honesty, that's your headache. You understand?
Right.
Randy.
But even for some who caught the honesty, they believed that he had found the whiskey. You understand? And perhaps, just perhaps, if they had read the thesis that Dr. Baumia presented for his doctorate, they may have hesitated in buying into this honesty of the president. I've taken the trouble to read the thesis. You understand? Randy, I hope you've read the thesis that he presented for his doctorate and so on.
I haven't.
Oh, I'll send you a copy. You know, I've read it.
Randy.
And when I read the thesis, I couldn't doubt, you know, why we are in this mess. You understand? But be that as it may, I mean, we are celebrating 40% inflation. What kind of country is this? We are celebrating the fact that now government bonds mean absolutely nothing. They have no value. We are celebrating it. So if you have leaders who celebrate indebtedness, who celebrate a certain level of debt forgiveness, who celebrate inflation when it reaches 40% and so on, what kind of future can this country have? And the two persons who spoke, Mr. Thompson and Mr. Tekbe, read what they said. They paint a very bleak future for 10 years, the next 10 years, what we are likely to suffer as a nation. As a result of this contraption.
I mean, we are being allowed to breathe a bit.
Yeah, breathe a bit. You know, it's like calling for a temporary ceasefire in Gaza.
Yes. Yes.
You know what that means? Temporary ceasefire in Gaza. Stop the war, send them bread and petrol to run some generators and so on. And then after that, go and kill them again. That's what we are facing. It's like the situation in Gaza. You understand? And the shock of it. And what shocks me is that they are celebrating this. You've reached a deal with the IMF, okay? And that deal simply says that, look, freeze public sector employment. And the number one problem you have in your economy is unemployment. One of the key problems you have in your economy is unemployment. It's freeze public sector, employment. And you are happy. And you are talking about development. You have entered a deal with the IMF in which they tell you that your educational policy needs to be reviewed. And this morning I'm reading the newspapers and I'm shocked. My own nephew, Afenyo Makin, taunting the opposition that they're against the SHS and that they don't want a new bill passed in Parliament and so on. Meanwhile, you have reached an agreement with the IMF to review the SHS program. Who are we fooling? Who are we deceiving? Randy, I am very worried about the future of Ghana. Especially the immediate future of Ghana.
We can be fooling without intending to fool people.
But Randy, whoever wins the next election, they should be careful.
That's a big task.
Now, they should stop making promises. They are coming to take over a bankrupt nation. That's what they are taking over. So they should stop making those lofty promises and so on. Because when they take power and they face the reality, they will smell pepper. Indeed, if the MPP should lose power now, it should be a blessing for them. They would escape. They would escape the Kenyan situation. It is those who are coming in who will face the reality of the bankruptcy and so on. You understand? So those who want to come in, they should take their time. Of course, there are some of them who are completely loony. I'll tell you a story. I mean, yesterday I got to the office and there was a letter for me. And there are those letters, I read them. So I opened this letter and read it. And it's from some guy who says that God has ordered him to be president of Ghana. Okay. And that he is asking me to help raise funds for his presidential campaign. I say, what kind of God do you worship? This God who decided that you should be president of Ghana, he didn't give you the resources.
God,
And we are coming to
God directed him to you.
That God must be wacky. A God who directs a presidential candidate to me for financing is wacky. So there are all these lunatic people, who think that they can be president. So as of them, leave them. They are loonies. They don't know what they are doing.
We don't take mental health seriously in Ghana.
Which I think we should begin to take mental health seriously in this country. As for these loonies, you can allow them.
Yes.
But the people who have their heads screwed on.
We think so.
No.
We think we need to be checking the screws.
No. Randy, it's not everybody who is trying to be president who is loony. I think some of them have their heads screwed on. You understand? They should be careful what they say now.
Okay.
Because we will hold them to the promises that they are making today.
Yes.
No matter who they are, we will hold them to the promises they are making today. And if they continue talking the way they are talking, they should be careful. Within the first 12 months, 24 months of the administration, they may have a Kenyan situation on their hands.
So if you put on all your caps,
Yes.
should we be as concerned as these persons think we should be? Kenneth Thompson, Setekpe, Dr. Tuahini.
In all honesty, we should be concerned. I don't even know whether to laugh or to cry. Because we've been here before.
Yes.
Yesterday I was having a conversation with one of my colleagues and I told him that, look, it feels like HIPIC 2.0. Because if you know how I went into HIPIC, it was the same thing. And after that we got some debt forgiveness, some breathing space. And even that breathing space, these donors are not going to bring you cash. They bought us rice to do the Cape Coast Road, if you remember.
Yeah.
They gave the Japanese.
HIPIC was even total, right?
Yes, total. But
it was total debt forgiveness.
Yes, but there will be some conditions in there.
Yes.
There will be some other conditions in there that obviously will not. They brought us, I remember they gave us rice for us to do the Accra Cape Coast Road.
But they must sell the rice of their farmers.
No, exactly.
Yes.
If I that rice, they brought it from Thailand because Japan had invested in Thailand, in the Thai rice, and they brought us rice. So, obviously, some respite will do. But the most important thing is what you do with that respite. Because if you are going to use that respite to take care of recurrent debt, we'll come back to square one. And that's why I was saying that I don't know whether to laugh or to cry, because 20 years ago, we went this path. We believed that we would come out and then 20 years down the line would have become an industrial society. 20 years down the line, we are back to square one. Going to ask for debt forgiveness again.
Master, 20 years ago, at the time that we went to HIPIC, we were spending 2/3 of our export earnings on debt servicing. Today we have exceeded that figure. Today we are spending 128% of total national revenue, not export earnings, total national revenue, on debt servicing, debt repayment, and public sector emolument. We are worse off than we were 20 years ago when we went to HIPIC.
So, coming back to my point, the respite is not the most important thing. What you do with that respite is the most important thing. For example, if you use that respite to take care of education, yes, education serves a purpose, but 20 years down the line, we need to use that respite to develop our productive sectors, our manufacturing sectors and our productive sectors with value. Sectors that will bring value. Because no country under the sun has borrowed their way out of poverty. No country. Not China, not Japan, not South Korea, none of them. Any country that has come out of poverty in the last 100 years, even America, when it became great, It was because we were producing. They were actively manufacturing. So for me, not to sound pessimistic, I'm a perpetual optimist. We recognize the problem and then solve the problem. What Ken Thompson and co are saying are factual. It's true. If we don't take the bull by the horn and resolve the problems, public expenditure, the cost of running government alone is so high. Today we have to cut our coat by our coat by the size of our cloth, because we cannot afford to do the same things over and over again. We cannot continue to live the way we're living and expect change. No. For that one, on that score, I side with them. But being a perpetual optimist, I believe that we've come to a realization that, look, we cannot borrow our way out of poverty, and therefore we have to take the necessary steps. That I believe that hopefully when Dr. Bawumia gets the nod, we'll be able to also work alongside with him and get things done or get Ghana changed, because that is the only way. That is the only way. Otherwise, we'll be back here 10 years down the line discussing the same thing, because we'd have gone the Argentinian way, where every 4 years they go and review. You know, you even see that Argentinian ship in Ghana some time ago. Yes, creditors will chase you everywhere. And it is no different from even your private life. If you run a business, the business goes into difficulty, you cannot pay. Until the business stands on its feet and is producing, there's no way you can take care of the debt. And it's the same thing that applies to the state. Until the state is able to, do proper value addition, not mining. Mining, we know what we are getting from there. Cocoa is finished. What else is there? So we will have to look at productive sectors, whether it's agro-processing, whether it's manufacturing, garment manufacturing, whatever it is, something that will earn us valuable income, hard foreign exchange, so that we're able to take care of our debts as a country and go for it. And there's countless examples of countries that have been through similar situations and have come out. Malaysia did, they came out of it. South Korea did, they came out of it. South Korea, they even borrowed money to produce hair, wigs. That was their first export. Wigs. They took the money from Barclays Bank, and they did that. And that's, earlier when I was speaking, I was talking about this 10 billion we had borrowed in 6 years. I asked myself, and Ken Thompson speaks about it as well, 10 billion in 6 years. What did we do with the 10 billion? If you used it for infrastructure, no problem. But that infrastructure may not necessarily bring you growth. The kind of growth that creates jobs and creates wealth for the state. That same 10 billion, I can give you an example of a country like Vietnam. Samsung took 17 billion there, and that 17 billion yields Vietnam over $100 billion a year just in electronics exports. All the televisions and mobile phones that Samsung sells around the world comes out of Vietnam with a similar amount of money. So ask yourself what we did with our 10 billion in the last 6 years. We used it to pay recurrent debt. So whatever you do, it's just your expenditure and your income. Until you're able to build that income portion and the state is able to raise enough to take care of its basic needs and debt, we'll be sitting where we're sitting, and we'll come back to the same point 20 years down the line. So for me, my suggestion would be that whatever the respite is in the next 3 to 4 years, whatever we need to do to whether if it means we have to go out there and bring foreign investors to come and invest in certain sectors that will help us grow our exports, let us do it. If that is all we can do as a government, let us do it. Let us do that. Let it create the jobs. Let it bring value into the economy. Let it bring valuable exports into the economy so that we make some good revenue out of it. And then, obviously, we'll be able to now take care of our debts and grow from there. That is my suggestion, and that's what I believe that when Dr. Bawumia gets the opportunity, he will do.
So on the last part, what do you say to people who say that why will I entrust the future of this country to the same people who took us into the ditch that we find ourselves in?
So if you say the people that took us into the ditch, that would be wrong. You see, the ditch, we're already heading towards the ditch. We started heading towards the ditch.
But we pushed faster into the ditch in the last 8 years.
We were heading towards the ditch as far back as 2007, 2008, when before we went for the first Eurobond loan. Mm-hmm. It was, we had a 10-year period to pay. and was going to be due after that. When Kufuor left and Atarios came, they continued. So it was like free money kicking down the can down the road, and we'll catch up with it later. Today, the can has catch up with us. So it was going to catch up with us.
But in fact,
it was even going to catch up with us. The first set was going to catch up with us in 2017.
We started moving towards the ditch.
Yes.
February 24th, 1966, we started. But you see, over the last 8 years, there has been an acceleration.
The acceleration came up.
There has been an acceleration.
In fact, that's what I keep coming back to the fact that COVID exposed us. It made the people of Ghana, it's like you be with your home, with your family, and you've lost your job, but you're not able to tell your wife and kids. So you pick from here, you borrow from here, you're just keeping, what do you call it, a good appearance. Exactly. Then, all of a sudden, all those streams are closed. Obviously, you become exposed and you have to tell your wife and kids. That's what happened to Ghana when COVID
because
came.
I was even going
because
to
when COVID came...
I'm not sure that is what happened. Listen to your own parliamentary candidate for Zanlerugu. She is the one who came and told us that they gave her part of the COVID money for her campaign. They gave her part of the money to share among constituency chairpersons and police station agents and so on.
We can come back to that. That's the money.
COVID gave you so much money that you could actually afford to use some for
money.
campaign.
The point I wanted to raise with you was that even if we were to look at just Eurobond, and you trace the thing back to 2007, when the capital market became open as a result of debt forgiveness and our debt profile and all that. If you look at that 10-year period, from 2007 to 2016, how much of Eurobond money did we go for? As against 2017 to 2020.
So between 2007 and now, we've done 15 billion.
Yes.
And
out of that 15 billion.
11 billion was done between 2017 and now.
Not even now. 2017 and 2020 or 2021.
21. And then between 22 and now.
Yes.
That's not even Eurobond. Other borrowings, we've done 2 billion.
No, I mean, I'm saying just Eurobond.
So
we used 4 years. We took 11 billion in 4 years. When for 10 years, we are down only 4 billion. So the issue of the acceleration into the ditch, because if you trace it to 2007, from 2007 to 2016, if Eurobond, we did only 4 billion. Then in just 4.5 years, we went 11 billion. At the time, and you see, I'm saying this, at the time when we had been complaining about Ghana's debt situation, at the time when we had been complaining about debt to GDP, then we get an opportunity, and what we do is that we almost treble or triple. Because
we're just borrowing to pay recurrent debt. And for that one, I always believe it's a problem. If you borrow to pay recurrent debt, it doesn't make sense. That's my view. You borrow to take care of productive activity. So if you...
when we complain, they told us that we don't understand it. There's reprofiling and something. We did
rebasing and all those things.
No, I'm saying this one. When we started complaining, we were told about reprofiling and something. We didn't go to business school. We didn't go to Ivy League, so we don't understand those things.
No, we understand.
That's where we are.
No, but the truth is that it cannot be attributed to a particular government only. That's what I was trying to drive. But he is talking about acceleration. But I'm saying that it is the nature of the way we have structured our economy from day one, maybe from 66, when we couldn't fully industrialize till date. And for me, I don't want to go back and forth on who did what and who did what. Let's look at the solutions, how we find solutions to the problem. And that solution is for us to industrialize. At any cost, we have to industrialize.
But my brother, first of all, we have to find solutions to the problem. I agree. We need to understand the problem. We need to agree on the problem. What are Ghanaians looking for? The average Ghanaian family is just looking for the ability to be able to grind pepper. Don't talk about the addition of KK. Just grind pepper for the family of 5. That's all. Now, I don't know if you go to the market. I do sometimes. A ball of tomatoes this size is 5 cedis. Randy, A ball of tomatoes this size is 5 cedis. Now, I have the benefit of old age. Okay? So, listen to me very carefully. One ball of tomatoes cost more than my first car, which I bought in 1976. Can you believe it? One tomatoes cost far more than my first car, which I bought in 1976. And I bought my car in 1976 for 350 cedis. You understand?
Yeah, but the value of the present value of the money and the future value of the money would not be the same.
Yes.
You know, so if it was 350 then,
Yes.
350 in today's present value would be completely different. It might be the same as, I mean, if you could buy a car for £100 in 1980 or 1981. Today, that same £100 is the equivalent of maybe $100,000.
The fact is that today what I spent in buying one ball of tomatoes is more expensive than what I spent in buying a car in 1976.
On the face of it.
Yes.
That's the reality. In terms of real values and so on. You understand? Now, listen. If one ball of tomatoes like this is 5 cedis, and there's a family of 5, mother, father, and 3 children, and mind you, a ball of kenke is how much?
5 cedis.
5 cedis, from 50 pesos to 5 cedis in less than 8 years, and so on. How do they survive?
No, so
the people are not asking for much. They just want to be able to buy kenke and have pepper and some very little fish to go along with it. That's all they want. They are not asking for the moon. They are not like the middle class and upper middle class and so on, who are looking for land cruisers and so on. They are asking for kenke and fish.
So it means that you need 10 cedis to eat a bowl of kenke and fish.
One person?
Yes.
Oh, stop that.
No, I'm saying 10 cedis.
How?
That's what it means.
One of my friends,
yes,
when he sits down to eat...
Oh, no, as for him,
no, hold on. He actually eats 6 balls.
Oh, no. Because he asked for that one there. That one, we have to... He needs to see a specialist.
But he's a Ghanaian.
No, but on the average, let's say if somebody who eats just 1 ball, that's the point I'm making, Kwesi.
Well, most people would eat 2 balls.
So, Kwesi, even if it's 1 ball, the point I'm making is that what it means is that
1 ball is
you need a minimum of 10 cedis to just eat a bowl of kenke and fish. Not so?
Yes.
I'm not sure.
No, I'm just saying.
I'm not sure because Randy, you
so
know,
if the person has to eat 3 times.
No. Randy, it's more than
even 2 times. That's 20 cedis.
No, Randy, it's more than 10 cedis. Recently, you heard the kenke sellers
threatening
that the pepper would be sold.
They sell the pepper.
They sell the pepper. So factor that in. Now, why do they sell fish for 5 cedis? What kind of fish do they sell for 5 cedis?
Why they sell the pepper?
The cost of the tomato and onion.
Half of the tomatoes in Ghana is imported.
Yeah.
It's imported. The onion is coming from Niger. The tomato is coming from Burkina.
Yeah.
We do ours, but post-harvest losses alone would account for the rise in price because we don't have any mechanism or structure to manage agriculture as an industry, as a business, to make sure that...
I have deliberately stopped buying okra. Because the last time I attempted to buy okra, Randy, one was for 2 cedis.
Even the fish that we are eating...
One.
The fish that we are eating is not coming from Ghana. It's from Mauritania and Morocco. It's all imported. So that kenke table that you see, if you are not lucky, the kenke itself, the corn, some corn is imported as well. So the corn might be imported or partially imported. The fish might be imported. The
corn meal itself is imported.
The onion is imported. The the vegetable oil that is used to fry the fish is imported.
The fish itself
is imported. So you are eating somebody's inflation.
Okay.
So if the person happens to be like you, The water he will top the kinky with is also
I drink tap water. I drink tap water.
So your colleague John Jinapo,
NDC.
MP for Yape Kusogu, it says in 8 years the NDC borrowed $3.5 billion Eurobond, but managed to pay the Eurobond taken by President Kufuor. The MPP borrowed over 11.
It was paid by us. They put the money aside, but we paid for it. Yes.
The MPP borrowed over $11 billion in 4 years, aside the $2.5 billion taken from Franklin Templeton. We must be thinking of the exchange when we start servicing our external debts. It's very gloomy. But there are just a couple of messages that I want to. I was expecting this one when we're discussing the first issue from Dr. David Percy. Current events in Kenya. He says we must take note that several African governments are in a contest to determine who is the most loyal and dependable stooge of the U.S. Kenya and Ghana are in that league. Meanwhile, a principal purpose of the U.S. and the entire West is to ensure that Nkrumah's statement that Africa is capable of running his own affairs will never come true. Debt is a key instrument for keeping Ghana and Africa forever in chains and on our knees. That's Dr. David Percy's view on this. The leader of the APC, Hassan Yariga, he says that I'm enjoying your conversation this morning. We all know the problems and the solutions, but when given power, we drive the vehicle to different directions. We keep recycling these two parties. Let me tell you, promises are failed Ghanaians. Let's change the two parties and vote APC. He says 32 years after independence, Ghana can't even feed its children, house its citizens, educate its people, high unemployment, high rates of goods and services. We can't even build roads and infrastructure. He says the car is not a toy for us to be changing drivers' mates. He says, tell my brother that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia should concentrate on finishing the 8 than breaking the 8 because he is in power. And there's an interesting one.
But Randy, there's something which is not true about what you say.
Okay.
Which is that we all know the problem and we all know the solution. It's not true. Because I'm listening to all these people who want to be president and who want to win elections and so on. They are still in the neoliberal frame. Okay. If you know the solution, why are you still in the neoliberal frame?
Okay. So
all of them. I haven't heard anybody speaking outside the neoliberal frame.
So listen to this interesting
one. So we don't know the problem. Yeah. We don't know the solution. We are still caught up in the quagmire of neoliberal capitalism. That's where we are.
So Morris has this interesting one. He says, it's possible to launch Ghana Beyond Aid in your first term, then celebrating getting aid as an achievement in your second term.
That's a bad one. That's a very bad one.
It's a naughty one.
Very, very naughty, actually. Very naughty.
Very interesting. Now, this says Kenyan youth have demonstrated quite clearly that you don't need an opposition leader to stage a demonstration. Using parliamentary majority to pass unpopular legislation will be resisted. No amount of live bullets, tear gas, pepper spray can stifle or stop popular protests. It says in analyzing the issues around the debt exchange deal, you don't even need to apply the first blush rule to scrutinize it. Where the first public announcement was made says a lot, doesn't it? This from Pakwesi Planjus, a journalist. We'll take a break here. When we return, there's some concerns about the Electoral Commission. We'll look at that after the break.
The confidence in our economy is going to come back stronger. Because the world is no longer interested in investing in Ghana because of those there's restructuring. After tomorrow, it will be a different story. Watch the cedi to the dollar after tomorrow. Watch the cedi to the dollar after tomorrow. I know you are interested in that story. Let's watch it and see. The confidence will come. The investors will return to Ghana. And the growth trajectory would even become clearer for all of us. So this election is an election for us to win. The NDC can no longer campaign on the economy. Our record is better than their record. On the size of the economy, we've done better than them. On per capita income, we've done better than them. On job creation, we've done better than them. On economic growth, we've done better than them. They say we went to IMF, but it's not easy to be under an IMF program. Because we've seen them before. When they were under IMF program, by 2016, they missed all the targets. So far, Ghana has become an example. We met all our prior conditions and the IMF praised us and disbursed $600 million. We did our first review. We passed all the tests. The IMF praised us, they disbursed $600 million. On 28th of this month, we are doing a second review, and I'm telling you that we are going to pass. We will pass. We will meet all the targets, and the IMF will disburse money. Cedi to dollar again, watch it. When the IMF disburses money on 29th of this month. So everything we have to do to reset our economy, we have done it. We are not going back. We are going to go forward. And so please, ladies and gentlemen, it started from President Kufuor, who identified the land. It took President Akufo-Addo to come and cultivate the land. It would take Dr. Bawumia to bring the food home so that we all eat and rejoice together.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. Still with me on the show, I have Kwesi Pratt Jr. and the Honorable Eves Hansen Norte here with me on the show. Now, Ayesoko, Dako Sombo Dan be big, but Betway's cash out be bigger. Betway is giving you more control over every thrilling bet you place. Enjoy the biggest and most reliable cash out in Ghana on Betway without any hassle. Sign up today at betway.com.gh. Terms and conditions apply. This is not for persons under 18 and is regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Betway, get way more. And Blue Jeans energy drink has been on the Ghanaian market for over 20 years. We already know what it does for the body. It contains vitamins and nutrients like vitamin B2, B3, B6, B12, as well as taurine and guarana, which are known to boost your strength and energy as well as promote high performance and endurance. Blue Jeans energy drink has been tested and tried. It's indeed the best. Blue Jeans energy drink is for bold and active men and women. So go on, grab a cold can and power your day. It's in shops nationwide. You can also reach Budget Cash and Carry Limited on 0208 128190 or 0550010000. Okay. I've just been shown an update. Apparently, the young people in Kenya are not stopping at this parliamentary thing. They're actually now moving to what they believe is the main target. And there's actually a flyer that is going around. I've asked the producer to put it on the screen. But their next move is actually on the 28th of June. And guess what? Occupy IMF and World Bank offices. Yes, 28th of June. Occupy IMF and World Bank offices. And they refer to them as enablers of Zakayo and its oppressive government. I'm sure Zakayo is...
the Bible.
Zakayo is Ruto. I'm sure it's his nickname or something.
No,
so yes, they say Occupy. So you see it on the screen pretty shortly. It says Occupy IMF and World Bank offices, enablers of Zakayo and its oppressive government. Location, Delta Center Building, Menengai Road, Upper Hill. And it says 8th day of rage. We will not be beggars in our own country. Hashtag total shutdown Kenya. Rejects Finance Bill 2024. We will not be slaves to the system.
It's escalating.
Yes, yes. I'm sure that when it's ready, we'll put it up for you to see. Now, the Dean of the Law School at the University of Professional Studies, Accra, UPSA, Professor Ernest Kofi Abochi. Okay, so that's what you're seeing on your screen. That's the next step for the young Kenyans. Occupy IMF and World Bank offices. Yes. So that's on the 28th of June. Power to the people. Right. Okay. So the Dean of the Law School at the University of Professional Studies, Accra, UPSA, Professor Ernest Kofi Abochi has called for an immediate step to address the mistrust in the Electoral Commission and its work. He suggested that the appointment process of the chairs and other members of the Commission going forward be broadened and consultations widened to ensure such appointments reflected the choice of the masses. He made a call at the annual public forum of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences in Accra on Monday on the theme, National elections in Ghana, issues and prospects. Professor Abochi was speaking on the topic, policy and institutional framework of national elections in Ghana. He said the EC was constitutionally structured and established to deploy the electoral agenda of Ghana, adding that he was tasked with the mandate of supervising and administering the elections. Article 45 of the Constitution mandates the Commission to, among other things, compile an electoral register, demarcate electoral boundaries for both national and local elections, educate the Ghanaian people on the electoral processes and its purposes, and undertake programs for the expansion of the registration processes. These functions, Professor Abochi said, made the EC the sole body of elections in Ghana and justified its elevation above others in matters dealing with electoral governance. Again, he said, that also explained why the Commission was constitutionally set up as an independent body, detaching it from the main political branches and actors of the state. However, he noted that the work of the Commission over the years had been the subject of deep contestations, especially by the two leading political parties, the National Democratic Congress and the New Patriotic Party. Quote, ironically, to either party, the EC is only good when the party is in power, in which case they see nothing wrong with its activities or moves. To the other party in opposition, the EC is to be looked on with troubling suspicions and its decisions grilled with skepticism. Professor Abochi said such mistrust was concerning, attributing the skepticism and suspicions around the activities of the EC to the current mode of appointment of the Commissioner and other members of the Commission by a sitting President. He indicated that the current status quo where the Commissioner was appointed by the sitting President, who may himself be a candidate in the next election, remained problematic. He noted that the situation, if not checked, could lead to a phenomenon in which governments may want to come in and inevitably leave with their own appointed electoral commissioner. The trend is disturbing because even if this situation is deemed merely perceived and not actual, the fact that the parties view the trend as real implies that they are likely to witness retaliatory responses when they take turns of power, leading to a complete destruction of the functional autonomy of the EC. He said it was imperative, therefore, that immediate steps were taken to deepen trust and confidence in the appointment process of the EC Commissioner, adding that one way to do that was to deepen and broaden the consultative aspect of the appointment process. Quote, I would suggest that in any future appointment of a commissioner, a sitting president should do well to actively consult opposition parties and engage in back-channeling with key stakeholders in the process. Recent controversies surrounding the use of the Ghana card in voting, voter registrations and re-registrations, etc., reflect that trust deficit, and the challenge unfolding needs to be cured. Okay. Now, Professor Ali Dusaid, who is the head of the Department of Political Science, University of Ghana, also speaking at the event, stressed the need for the Commission to put measures in place to restore public confidence in its operations. He also urged that the powers of the IPAC, Inter-Party Advisory Committee, be strengthened to make decisions of the committee binding on all parties, including the EC. He spoke on the topic, contribution of political parties to national elections for development and assessment. Okay. In a related development, former national chairman of the MPP, Peter McMahon, has emphasized the need to regulate campaign financing in Ghana.
Very true.
Speaking at a dialogue on national elections in Ghana, he lamented how political monetization had been normalized in the country, a situation that he believes undermines the practice of true democracy. Mr. Menu explained that these acts prevent competent persons from contesting elections due to the highly monetized space. Quote, if you spend so much money, you are dividing some of your qualified citizens who, because of money, cannot compete in elections. That should not be the case. But I've heard on various platforms for the last 20 years or so that there's a need for reform. Then we'll put it on the back burner. Then when elections are approaching, we'll bring it to the front burner, where we talk about it but never act on it. I think this is something as a country we must be bold, and things that are not going well for us, which are going to stifle our democracy, we must put a stop to. And it says the Electoral Commission should set up an enforcement unit to supervise the accounts of political parties. The EC should take seriously the establishment of an enforcement unit, which would include a legal advisory support to enforce laws regarding the conditions for maintaining a registered political party and accounting for political party campaign finances.
In fact, what Mark Menu has said is extremely important if we are to safeguard our democracy. The cost of running for political office in Ghana is exorbitant, and it's become a business for some people. In fact, I dare say that even the cost of political campaigning is maybe directly proportional to the cost of corruption in Ghana. Because you see that most of the, I would say, political corruption that we find within our space is, one way or the other, related to political campaigning. Between now and, let's say, December, you would hear of fertilizer smuggling. I mean, many other things, even narcotics. Everything that you can think about that is negative, people are doing it just because they want to raise resources to run for public office. So it's a very, very, very big problem. In America, they take it very, very seriously. They trace every source of your funding for your election. For me, 2020, I kept a diary. I know everybody who gave me anything towards my election so that I could account for it in the future if need be. I kept a diary for that. In America, they do that religiously. Why? Because they want to protect the sanctity of the people making the right choice. When you come to our space where poverty is prevalent, you can give somebody 20 cedis to change his own destiny. 20 cedis to change his own destiny because of poverty. And therefore, it is a very good call. It is a necessary call, and we must act on it. Given the EC the teeth to bite, it's also important so that we're able to safeguard the sanctity of elections. Without that, we'll get to a point that we will become a banana republic. When you go to South America today, the likes of Mexico and co., you cannot even run for an election if you don't have an army. The last elections that they had in Mexico recently, people are just killing each other. I mean, you have to have a whole, machinery for protection just to run for public office. It's like a suicidal game. You might even die along the way because you want to serve your people. Why? Because all kinds of resources have entered your politics. You don't have to even go for Guinea-Bissau. It's become a narco state. Today, if you want to run for office in Guinea-Bissau, you have to be backed by one of those big narco institutions around the world. Yes. So it is a big problem.
Sad.
It is a big problem. And it's creeping into our Ghanaian politics. Because how do you run an election? It doesn't cost you less than maybe, I don't know other people's numbers, but at least $500,000 to run for a parliamentary seat in Ghana. Throughout the primaries till you get to win the seat. So you ask yourself, really and truly, how are all the political parties or how are all the political functionaries funding these processes? At the end of the day, it will end up coming out of the coffers of the state because somebody has to pay for it one way or the other. So it's extremely important that we regulate political party funding in Ghana. We regulate how politicians fund their campaigns so that we're able to manage the process and allow competence to also come in. Because I know some of my colleagues who lost their seats to people that I personally know and I don't know, I believe they are not competent. But we've lost competent people to people who had money or were money bags. And this is not the first time. It's been happening since at least 2000 till date. Because when we speak to some of our leadership, they tell us that, look, when we came in 96, this was not the way it was. But today, even the delegate structures that we have, so the political parties themselves have created, a problem where the delegate structure that we have all the way to the top creates avenue for people to now pay for all these things. We've even expanded our political bases just to prevent that, but it's even made it worse. Because in the past, we used to have just chairman voting, let's say in the MPP. Today we have 750 people voting, and all 750 people expect the candidates to come and give them a token one way or the other. Where is all that token coming from? People paid as high as 5,000 cedis per delegate. Some paid as low as 300 cedis per delegate. But that is, where is all that resource going to come from? Is it coming from a private business? Is it coming from donors? Is it coming from friends? Who are the friends? What are their interests? What are their future interests? So, Honorable McMenu's call is very, very important, especially coming from him, who has been a party chairman before. He's an experienced electioneering person in Africa. He's been an election observer in many other countries. And it's the right call, and I sincerely support him. And I believe that if we want to safeguard this democracy of ours, we need to manage our funding sources and know where the funding is coming from, at least. Even through, not just the EC, but even the political parties. And the state itself must be up and doing. Thank you.
How can I disagree with my friend, Mr. Peter McMenu? Andy, don't look far. Look at the leadership of the political parties we have today, who are leading the political parties, and compare that to those who led the political parties in 1992. The story is finished. You understand? In 1992, when you spoke about party chairpersons and so on, we're talking about somebody like Darocha, talking about somebody like Kojobo Tsio, and so on. That was the quality. Look around today. When you spoke about general secretaries of the parties and so on, look at the names which existed in 1980.
Even parliamentarians.
Yeah,
parliamentarians.
And look at what we have today. Look at regional chairpersons of parties. Randy. Today, a lot of regional chairpersons of parties are functional illiterates. That's true. I'm not exaggerating. Look, in days gone by...
NPP, not in the MPP.
Don't be tempted.
Well,
resist the temptation.
Well, I know it's temptation, but...
Resist it.
I would be guided by President Kufuor. President Kufuor had a quote on temptation.
Okay.
And I'll be guided by that quote, President Kufuor. Look, 1992-93, who were the regional chairpersons of the NPP? Professor Fobi.
Yeah.
Professor Donko Fojo and so on. They were the regional chairpersons, and I can extend and so on. Today, who are your regional chairmen? Masa, who are your regional chairpersons today?
I go home. Greater Accra, I go home. Why?
It's okay. I don't want to go there. So there's something really wrong with our politics. And if care is not taken, we will soon reach the stage where anybody, including a lunatic, can take bags of cocaine to Europe, come back and buy the presidency easily. We're almost there. We've had cases of parliamentarians who bought their seats, drug dealers who became parliamentarians. So we've had all of that in our history. And if we continue on this trajectory, we are going to reach a stage where loonies, and drug cartels and so on will be choosing the president for this country anytime soon. And I'm worried about that situation. So to that extent, I agree with my very good friend, Peter McMenu, that we need to do something about the situation. I agree with all the others who spoke about the need to ensure that the Electoral Commission is sanitized. How do we do
Professor
that?
Abochi.
Yeah, Professor Abochi and another person. That the Electoral Commission is sanitized.
Professor Lidu said.
Yes. How do we do that? By stopping the employment of party communicators as electoral commissioners. If you don't stop appointing party communicators as electoral commissioners, we cannot sanitize the Electoral Commission. You understand? So those who have the authority to appoint should begin to think about the broader national interest and the exceptional need for the Electoral Commission to be transparently independent. Now, maybe we should even be taking the power of appointment from where it is today and giving it to bodies which are likely, to be more independent and to take decisions which would enhance the independence of the Electoral Commission. You understand? Because as it is, I mean, look, there's all this talk about peaceful election, the need to have confidence in the Commission. So I can tell you that I don't have any confidence in the Commission. None whatsoever. There's no reason why I should have any confidence in this Electoral Commission. And that is not because I'm not patriotic. That is not because I don't want peace and so on.
But why?
If you go and appoint your party communicator, captured on television, swearing that he will do everything in his power to make sure that one party does not come to power, how can I have confidence in the Electoral Commission? That's the problem. You understand?
So if you take the powers of appointments from the presidency, where do you want it to go, for example?
Well, I think we all have to think together and find a place to locate that power. But clearly under the presidency is not going.
I think that I've spoken to, in the course of, I think, the last 20 years, there are about 2 or 3 of the persons who were involved in the drafting of a constitution who have told me that, look, on hindsight, some of the powers vested in the president ought to change.
Sure.
And that the rationale, the spirit and the letter with which put out some of those pieces of legislation has been bastardized completely. They didn't think that a president or presidents will go to the extent that some presidents have gone in this Fourth Republic.
Oh, in Ghana, when you made president, you become a demigod.
Yes, I'm saying that they thought that a person holding the position of president will at least act
in balance.
Yes, and not...
You'll be restrained by a certain sense of decorum.
Yes. So they didn't anticipate that we would actually get into the realms that we've got into. And and it looks like we keep going from bad to worse.
That's why
we keep extending the boundaries. And I always use the example of even the issue of contracts. If you go and read the spirit behind that piece of legislation in terms of giving people who have reached retirement age contracts, and you look at its application, today,
it's becoming the norm.
You will see that we've gone from even people in the institution who have reached retirement age to picking people from outside the institution and even the industry or the sector completely and applying the same thing and appointing them. And to be honest, I mean, it's difficult for me to say this, but sometimes we need to say it. And it looks like you have a seemingly pliant Council of State, where in instances where you see that the Council of State has even been brought in an adversarial role or something. I mean, to act as some check, even if it's from a moral or adversarial point of view. You see that instead of that thing happening, which appears to be the intent of the framers of the Constitution, that's rather a seemingly pliant. It's quite difficult for me to looking at the kind of people who sit on bodies like that. But sometimes it must be said.
The 1992 Constitution clearly was intent on making presidents supermen.
Yeah.
Who have absolute power over everybody and everything.
Once you become a president.
So you have to be an exceptional president to restrain yourself.
Yeah.
You need an Atta Mills actually to be able to restrain yourself.
But to be honest,
otherwise,
even President Rawlings, who some are people who have abused the powers and the Constitution most, claim that this Constitution was made to serve, did not do 10% of the things that the so-called civilians have done with this Constitution. No, I'm talking about with the Constitution. I'm not talking about, I'm saying with the Constitution.
But Randy, you're raising a very sensitive issue.
No, I'm telling you.
Very sensitive issue.
To be honest.
Yes, I hear all these civilian politicians, campaigning about the need to keep the military away from politics and so on. As if soldiers are not Ghanaians. They have the same rights and obligations as you, the politician. Soldiers have an interest in ensuring that this state is governed properly.
They go to the same markets.
They go to the same market as we do and so on. And here we talk as if, as for soldiers, they should just stay in the barracks. They should not be concerned about the value of the dollar. They should not be concerned about inflation. Are they not Ghanaians?
Even using the military in democratic elections in Ghana, who has applied it most?
Than the civilian.
Is it the civilians or the so-called military person?
Maybe with benefit of hindsight, we've forgotten some of the things that happened in those days. We can't recall them. But for me, I sincerely believe
I'm not even referring to pre
yes, so I'm talking about post 92. Maybe
I even want 92 to take 92 to 2000.
I'm just saying that it's been almost 30 years down the line. So we may not remember all the things that, or we cannot recollect all the things that may have happened within that period. Maybe the abuses and all that, or abuse of power that may have occurred within that period. So maybe
I remember.
These ones are fresh.
I'm not one of those who doesn't remember. I remember very clearly. I remember Ekania, Yehai, I remember all those things. You understand?
Yes.
But some of the abuses today are horrifying.
So the way forward would be,
no integrity, nothing.
That's why, for me, I've always believed in the Westminster style of governance, where if it's not serving the purpose, we can always change it. Like it happened to Liz Truss and co. She was there for a week. The people didn't believe in her. Within that week, she was put aside, and new government was put in place, and they've continued, and it's been able to run till today. So,
but can that happen here?
That is what we should be looking at.
The majority of members of parliament, clear majority, including the majority on the majority side, agreed that the finance minister must go.
Yes, I was part of them.
When the issue was put to vote, what happened?
No. So the issue was not put. When the issue was put to vote, a decision had been made. We had arrived at some conclusions with the president. So it was based on that conclusions that we said no, we will not go out there to.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. We
had a full discussion with the president, and we came to some conclusions which rolled out over time, because at that point in time we believed that he should step aside for somebody else to continue. The president was of a different view. We negotiated, we agreed on some issues, and then because we wanted the state to continue running, we said, okay, let us allow it to be so. So it's not that we acquiesced or we, we let down our guard. No, we actually went the full.
What happened is so clear. And I'll give you another example.
The military was called into parliament.
You have a situation where...
No, he's talking about when...
You have a situation where the majority...
The finance minister wanted to say Ken must go.
But you have a situation where the majority is ready to actually go to war because it thinks that e-levy is the best thing that could ever happen to this country and so on.
It's true.
In a twinkle of an eye, the same majority begins to say and to tell us that that's what e-levy.
So back to what you asked.
So why is the principle?
So back to what you were saying about the finance minister must go. When we were doing Ken must go, it was on the back of the e-levy thing, because he came with e-levy, and I think there was another one, property rates, as his solution to the problems that the world that we're going to hit. So to put the brakes on it. And he said that is what he needed. So we put in all the effort to make sure that he gets it. I was part of it, to make sure that he gets his e-levy, on condition that he will not let us hit the wall. That was the the first. That's why
How could you have believed that E-levy would prevent you from hitting the wall?
Even if you didn't believe,
you were accelerating at top speed towards the wall.
No,
you had no brakes.
He said this was what he needs, and that's all he was asking of us to get him. So if we can get him that one, we will not hit the wall. So once we hit the wall, then he had to go. That was the whole argument. That was the basis of all the Ken must go. So the Ken must go had nothing to. That was for me. That was the only reason why I was part of Ken must go. That look, Ken must go because he said he wanted A. We've given him everything that he wants, and yet still we're not able to prevent this the problem. And therefore, let's change. That was all. So it comes back to the same thing. It's not that the majority said we didn't want him and we still acquiesced. No, we agreed to something, and then eventually he stepped aside.
It's okay. No need to continue.
All right. Okay. All right. So you know, a lot of people are it's good to have a global audience. A lot of people are giving us some information on the Kenyan thing, and I have some documents with respect to the whole thing. Yeah. And it says that, for example, this says that, do you know that for all the revenue that Kenya collects, out of every 10, 6 goes to repaying the interest on their loans.
There's something in Ghana.
It says no wonder there's not much left for health, education, and other development. Colonialism has never ended. It says this is bigger than Ruto, but he can say no thank you and renegotiate. If he does not agree to their plans, they can withhold some money. Also in the documents, the privatization of state-owned companies, announcements coming up in October. So there's actually, they sent me actually a list. So the things that they're supposed to do throughout the year.
That's why the youth say
this is like phase 1.
They're going to attack
Occupy
IMF and World Bank because for them they see that as a, well, but I mean, colonialism has never ended. We are still in the neo-colonial phase. We need to fight it. We need to turn it around. We need to, in fact, in my view, even dissolve these artificial states that the Europeans created for us, and then build something for ourselves, something that we have designed and built for ourselves.
Tear down the boundaries, these useless boundaries, tear them down. You understand?
You know, we cannot continue to be what others have made us to be. We have to be who we are, you know, and sometimes people may think that it's too ethnocentric or, no, but we will even lose our languages. We are losing our culture. Today, when you go along the coast, Hutu, and nobody speaks the languages anymore. It's all gone.
We are losing our food.
Everything.
When was the last time you saw a pity? Yes, we are losing our food.
The one we call akpiti.
A pity.
It's
some ripe plantain dish.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A pity with corn dough and it's steamed.
Yes.
When was the last time you saw it?
So,
but who's going to teach how to do it? Those who will teach are dead.
You see,
but this should have been a challenge for the restaurant. It should have been a challenge for a restaurant. But they're all cooking Chinese and European.
Maybe the biblical restaurant at the cathedral have it, together with the manna and all those things. A pity. Maybe we can find it in Revelations.
No, but it's a tragedy. You know, it's a tragedy. You really feel it, especially when you travel abroad. When you go to China, everybody speaks their language. They speak, even in China, they have like 16 or 20, 30 languages. The Fujians speak their own language. The Uyghurs speak their own language. But they may have a common language that everybody understands. You know, but we've lost it. I mean, one time I was driving through somewhere in Nima, and I saw kids in Nima. Normally, you should expect them to be speaking Hausa. You know, I was going to buy suya, and I heard the children speaking in English, and Nima Susu Hausa Kra Bonkabio, you know, and it's pathetic that we've gone that path. But I'm sure if we put our shoulder to the wheel, we can reverse it. It might not be reversed in our lifetime, but it must start from somewhere, and then solve that problem.
Anyway, we need to go. Gentlemen, thanks for joining me. And Omni Basic is one of the banks that is making serious inroads as far as the financial sector is concerned. And they're having a health walk. It's the 5th and the series. And we'll be speaking with Dr. Philip Otimensa from the Omni Basic Bank about this particular health walk, why it's important, why they're doing it, why we should participate, and what makes it important. So Dr. Philip Otimenson of Omni, Basic Bank, is going to be here with me shortly.